There exists a secret once whispered only in marble halls where emperors decided the fate of nations. With it, you won't need to chase approval. It will chase you. You won't beg for respect. Others will offer it unprompted. You won't search for doors. They'll open before you arrive. What is this secret? It's not posture correction, not mirror affirmations, not smiling more at strangers. That's surface theater, child's play for the uncertain. True power is internal, invisible, a fortress no one can breach. Those who possess it move as if the crown is already on their head. They don't beg for attention, they grant it. This is the shift from ordinary to sovereign, from subject to ruler in a world that bows to internal certainty. Listen carefully. In the next few minutes, I'll take you inside the mind of Machiavelli himself. When you understand sovereign confidence, you won't view yourself or the world the same again. Law 1. The secret of sovereignty. Throughout history, there were men who entered rooms and silence followed. Caesars, generals, architects of empires. They possessed what the masses never will, true confidence that doesn't perform, doesn't beg, doesn't collapse under pressure. You've been lied to your entire life. They told you confidence is about standing tall, making eye contact, faking it till you make it. That's costume confidence, and it has an expiration date. Here's the dark truth Machiavelli knew. Costume confidence depends on the room cooperating with your performance. It needs applause to survive. But sovereign confidence? It operates in a vacuum. It doesn't ask permission. It exists, self-sustaining, untouchable. The difference is brutal. Ordinary confidence says, I hope they approve. Sovereign confidence says, I approve of myself, and that's the only vote that counts. Imagine two men at a party. The first works the room, laughing too loud, fishing for validation. Everyone smells the desperation. The second stands quietly, speaks when he has something worth saying. By night's end, people gravitate toward him. That's the sovereignty effect. Starting now, recognize every moment you perform for approval. Every time you adjust based on who's watching, you're wearing the costume. Strip it off. Anchor your worth internally. When you walk into a room, don't scan for validation. Exist as if the crown is already on your head, invisible but undeniable. But sovereignty without structure crumbles. The next law reveals how to erase dependency and magnetize presence. Law 2. Confidence. Costume versus core. You straighten your spine, rehearse your smile, repeat affirmations until your voice sounds hollow. You walk into the meeting believing you've armored up. Then someone challenges you, questions your authority, and the costume tears. Your voice cracks, your hands tremble. Everyone sees what was underneath. Desperation dressed as confidence. This is the fatal flaw 97% never escape. They build confidence on external foundations, on whether people smile back, whether posts get likes, whether the room applauds. Machiavelli observed princes who needed love from their people, and he watched them fall. But princes with core confidence? They ruled for decades, unmoved by praise or protest. Picture a building. Costume confidence is the paint, the decorations. Core confidence is the foundation, the steel beams, the bedrock. When the storm comes, the paint washes away. Only the foundation remains. Here's your protocol. Stop performing. For 7 days, remove all confidence costumes. Don't force eye contact to seem powerful. Don't rehearse what you'll say. Instead, anchor in this truth. Your value doesn't change based on their perception. Speak from belief, not scripts. When criticized, don't defend. When praised, don't inflate. Stay level. That steadiness, that refusal to spike or crash, that's core confidence emerging. The costume is burned. The next law teaches you how to erase dependency completely. Law 3. How to erase dependency and magnetize presence. You perform for approval. Every word, every move, calculated to earn validation from people who will forget you exist. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You agree with opinions you despise. You shrink yourself to fit spaces never built for you. At day's end, you collapse wondering why you feel empty despite doing everything right. Here's why. You've become a puppet dancing for an audience that isn't watching. Machiavelli wrote that dependency is the death of power. The moment you need something from someone, they own you. Sovereign confidence requires one shift. Erase all dependency on external validation and anchor your worth so deeply within that the world's opinion becomes background noise. No one owes you attention, respect, or acknowledgement. Stop expecting it. Stop performing for it. Consider two leaders in crisis. The first constantly seeks reassurance. Is this right? Do you think this will work? His uncertainty spreads like poison. The second decides, announces, executes without seeking permission. Even if wrong, his certainty creates followership. People follow someone confidently wrong over someone uncertainly right. That's the magnetism of self-sufficiency. Here's your protocol. First, stop broadcasting achievements for applause. Let results speak in silence. Second, stop apologizing for choices that serve your growth. Third, practice strategic indifference. Someone upset you, didn't respond immediately? I respond when I'm able. No defense, no justification. Fourth, lead with authenticity in groups. State your genuine perspective calmly, then let it stand. Watch how people start checking your reactions before forming their own. Watch how silence and certainty create gravitational pull. The void you create by not seeking approval bends rooms around you without force. Now comment one line. I'll use tonight when someone questions your decision. Let's see your sovereignty emerge. Dependency is erased. But what happens when they use your flaws against you? The next law reveals how to turn weaknesses into weapons. Law 4. Self-sufficiency is power. You need their approval to feel worthy. You need their validation to feel confident. You've spent your life building identity on shifting opinions of people who will abandon you when you stop serving their interests. Whoever controls your need for approval controls every decision you make, every risk you avoid, every dream you abandon. You've handed strangers the keys to your kingdom. This is Machiavelli's most ruthless principle. Self-sufficiency is the only true power. A prince who depends on love will compromise his vision to keep people happy, losing both vision and love. But a prince who is emotionally, psychologically, strategically self-sufficient, he makes decisions based on truth, not popularity. He acts on principle, not opinion polls. He becomes unmovable, unbreakable, ungovernable. Picture a man fired from his job. If his worth was tied to that title, he spirals into despair. He becomes desperate in interviews, reeking of need. Now picture a man whose identity is anchored in his skills, his values, his unshakable belief in his capacity. He sees the same job loss as redirection. He's calm in interviews because he's not begging. He's evaluating if they deserve his talents. Here's your warfare plan. For 30 days, operate in total strategic silence. Stop broadcasting plans, achievements, struggles. No social media victory laps. When someone criticizes you, don't defend. Respond with, "I hear your perspective," or "noted," then continue unchanged. Stop justifying decisions to people not invested in your outcome. Internalize your rating system. Did I act with integrity today? Did I move toward my vision? And let that be enough. External applause becomes pleasant but unnecessary. External criticism becomes irrelevant noise. Choose your battles with surgical precision. Not every comment deserves response. The more self-sufficient you become, the more people desperately seek your approval. When you stop needing them, they start needing you. But self-sufficiency won't protect you when they attack your flaws. The next law teaches the darkest art. Law 5. Turn flaws into weapons. They see your flaws. You're short, bald, awkward, scarred, different. They catalog every imperfection, waiting for you to reveal shame, to try hiding it, to apologize for existing differently. That's when they strike. You've spent years trying to conceal what makes you different. But here's the truth. They already see it. Your attempt to hide it doesn't make it invisible. It makes you vulnerable. Machiavelli understood. The thing you're ashamed of is the thing they'll use to control you. But the moment you own it, accept it, weaponize it, you become untouchable. When you acknowledge your flaw before they can weaponize it, you steal their ammunition. Short, low center of gravity, harder to knock down. Bald, primal dominance, less maintenance. Awkward, authenticity in a world drowning in fake performance. The flaw doesn't change, your relationship to it does. Consider Tyrion Lannister. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. Or Eminem, who opened his rap battle listing every insult his opponent could use, his trailer park upbringing, his failures. He disarmed them completely. They had nothing left. Here's your combat protocol. Choose one flaw you've been hiding. For 14 days, own it openly with complete composure. Balding? Shave it clean. Socially awkward? I'm not great at small talk, so I'll be direct. Watch how people recalibrate their perception. Watch how radical acceptance creates respect where pity lived. Disarm with calm. Disarm with humor. Disarm with silence. Never feed critics. What you own, no one can use against you. The flaw is now a weapon. But there's one battleground where most surrender sovereignty, the digital illusion. The next law exposes how to achieve immunity. Law 6. Immunity to the online illusion. You scroll through feeds watching curated highlight reels masquerading as real life. Perfect bodies, perfect careers, perfect everything. And you ask, why isn't my life like that? You compare your chaos to everyone's polished performance, and you shrink. You're competing in a rigged game where everyone cheats and no one admits it. The online world is curated deception, a fantasy economy where people trade manufactured perfection for validation from equally desperate strangers. Here's Machiavelli's warning. Never let others control your perception of reality, especially when that reality is fabricated. Social media is psychological warfare designed to harvest your attention by making you feel insufficient. The investor posting about his yacht, 3 months behind on mortgage. The fitness model, surviving on 400 calories. The happy couple, they haven't had a real conversation in months. You're envying carefully constructed lies. Imagine 2 men building businesses. The first posts every win, every milestone. He checks his phone 60 times daily, tracking engagement. The second builds in silence. No announcements, no updates, just execution. 2 years later, the first has 10,000 followers and a failing business. The second has 200 followers and generational wealth. Visibility isn't victory. Here's your detox. Execute a 7-day total social media blackout. Delete the apps entirely. For 7 days, measure your worth by internal metrics. Did I keep my word to myself? Did I make progress? Notice how your clarity returns. Notice how your presence intensifies. After 7 days, you'll realize 90% of what you thought mattered online is irrelevant to building real power. Recalibrate your value system. Measure against your own trajectory, not someone's edited highlight reel. Post only when strategic, ally beneficial, never for validation. Now drop this affirmation. I am not competing in their fantasy. I am building my reality. The digital chains are broken, but all these laws mean nothing without the final integration. The next law reveals the ultimate form. Law 7. The final form. Fearlessness, presence, strategy. You've learned the laws. You've built the fortress. But knowledge without integration is worthless. This is where 99% fail. They collect wisdom, but never forge it into identity. The final law isn't about learning something new. It's about becoming someone unrecognizable. It's about fusing everything into a singular, undeniable presence that commands respect without demanding it. Machiavelli's ultimate teaching: the prince who masters himself masters his kingdom. Fearlessness, presence, and strategy aren't three separate qualities. They're the trinity of sovereign confidence. Fearlessness without strategy is reckless. Strategy without presence is invisible. Presence without fearlessness is performance. But when you fuse all three, you become a force that reshapes reality by existing in it. Picture a general entering a war council. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten. He simply exists with such unshakable certainty that every other voice becomes a suggestion waiting for his verdict. That's integrated sovereignty. Here's your integration protocol. First, kill neediness at the root. Every action must come from purpose, not approval seeking. Before you speak or act, ask, am I doing this because it serves my vision or because I need their reaction? If it's the latter, don't do it. Second, execute in silence and precision. Stop announcing plans. Operate like a grandmaster, silent, strategic, 3 moves ahead. Third, dominate perception through deliberate presence. Control how you enter rooms. Slow, purposeful. Control your vocal tonality. Speak from your chest. Control your physical stillness. Unnecessary movement signals anxiety. Fourth, practice selective engagement. Your attention is currency. Not every conversation deserves participation. Fifth, become impervious to criticism by recognize it. Nangit reveals more about the critic. When attacked, stay silent or acknowledge without emotion. Sixth, project authenticity that overpowers performance. Admit when you don't know something. Own mistakes without over-explaining. Seventh, commit to continuous evolution. Sovereignty isn't a destination, it's a discipline. This is the final form. Not a technique, an identity. Not something you do, someone you become. The laws are revealed. But will you take them? The next paragraph reveals what happens when you choose power. Law 8. The crown you cannot see. There's a crown on your head right now. You can't see it. You can't touch it. But everyone around you can feel it, or its absence. This invisible crown is the accumulated weight of every choice you've made, every boundary you've held, every moment you refuse to compromise sovereignty for their comfort. Most people walk through life as subjects pretending to be kings, wearing costume crowns that fall off under pressure. But true sovereigns? They wear invisible crowns forged from self-mastery, crowns that never fall because they were never dependent on external recognition. You've been taught that authority is granted, by titles, by positions, by institutions. That's slave mentality. Machiavelli knew real power is never granted. It's claimed by those who possess internal conviction that they already own it. The crown you cannot see is built from every moment you chose self-respect over approval, truth over likability, sovereignty over belonging. Consider the difference between a manager and a leader. The manager has a title, an office, formal authority. But when he speaks, people comply out of obligation. Now picture a person with no title who enters chaos and simply takes command. People instinctively defer, follow, trust. What's the difference? The invisible crown. One borrowed authority, the other claimed it from within. Here's your coronation protocol. First, make one non-negotiable decision right now, a line you'll never cross again. It could be, I will never apologize for my ambitions, I will never shrink myself to make insecure people comfortable. Choose your line and guard it. That boundary is your crown's foundation. Second, eliminate one person or habit that undermines your sovereignty. The friend who mocks your goals. The relationship requiring you to perform. Cut it surgically. Third, claim space deliberately. Stand where yard. How can see exits. Speak when you have something worth saying. Fourth, develop a personal code, 3 to 5 principles governing every decision. When faced with choices, consult your code, not popular opinion. Fifth, practice the sovereignty stare, eye contact that doesn't seek approval but exists with calm intensity. Hold it 3 seconds longer than comfortable. Sixth, speak in declarations, not questions. Replace, "Do you think I should eat?" with, "I've decided to." Subjects ask permission. Sovereigns announce decisions. Now drop this affirmation. The crown is on my head. I don't need them to see it. The crown is placed. The transformation is complete. But there's one final truth. The outro reveals the choice every sovereign must make. The binary choice. Let's recap the 8 laws of sovereign confidence. Law 1. Anchor your worth internally. Law 2. Abandon costume confidence and build from the core. Law 3. Erase dependency and magnetize presence. Law 4. Become self-sufficient, because whoever controls your need for validation controls your life. Law 5. Turn flaws into weapons by owning them completely. Law 6. Achieve immunity to the online illusion. Law 7. Integrate fearlessness, presence, and strategy into singular identity. Law 8. Claim the invisible crown through non-negotiable boundaries and sovereign decisions. These aren't tips. These are actual principles that Machiavelli observed in princes who ruled for decades. But here's where most fail. You're standing at a binary choice. Path A. You close this video, feel inspired for 20 minutes, then return to seeking approval, performing for validation, apologizing for your existence. You stay comfortable. You stay weak. You die having never claimed the power that was always yours. Path B. You take these laws and burn them into your identity starting now. You make uncomfortable decisions. You hold difficult boundaries. You walk away from people requiring you to shrink. You become sovereign. You become untouchable. You become the version that commands respect without chasing it. There is no middle ground. Here's what I need if you're choosing Path B. Hit that like button as a declaration that you're done playing small. Comment your chosen affirmation from any law. Make it real by speaking it into existence. Share this with one person still trapped in the performance game. And subscribe, because this channel is your continued initiation into dark psychology, strategic dominance, sovereign confidence that the world keeps hidden. Every video is another weapon. Remember, the weak react to everything. The strong respond with precision. But he masters the true sovereigns. They don't need to do either. They've built such an unshakable fortress that the world's chaos breaks against them like waves against stone. They exist. They decide. They move. And reality rearranges itself. That's the crown you now wear. That's the power you now possess. Will you honor it or betray it when discomfort arrives? Choose now. Execute now. Become sovereign now. The throne has always been yours. Consider this your permission. Consider this your coronation. Now go claim what was always yours.